Okay, so as you saw in my previous video, I was under a bridge, pretty sad. Just kind of like, what am I gonna do? Like, where I didn't even really know what I was gonna do that night. Remember, I was just gonna like watch The Office and forget about my thoughts, I think is verbatim what I said. So I leave that spot because actually I just like didn't really feel like staying there anymore because I had said I was gonna stay the night there, but there was a lot of cars, so I ended up leaving. As I got on like a main road, I was trying to get service so I could find my next spot. I pull in to a school to turn around because I saw a parking turnoff. So I turn around in the school where Alex saw me turn around, which I didn't know until last night. But so I pull into this little pull-off parking area and I'm just like getting everything situated. And this guy pulls up next to me. Was like, "You look like a pretty cool stranger." Asked me to go get some wood chips with him. We did that. What else did we do? Oh, we browsed your garden, which was pretty cool. Bunch of stuff in there. And yeah, he was kind enough to let me stay on his property last night, which was super peaceful. And yeah.
And just I would add, like, once I heard an advertisement on AM radio, be afraid of strangers, like if somebody establishes eye contact for more than 2 seconds. But so I think the government and everything doesn't want the people to work together, and they want them to be in fear of each other. And so to me,
Which is going on a lot right now.
as long as you're not a scumbag, and especially with COVID, now they're trying to make us even more afraid. I mean, it could be a bioweapon, but I think if your immune system is good, they just want to make people totally afraid so they can herd them around. So,
yeah.
you know, I would definitely listen to Judy Mikovits. Now, they try to censor everything, and the CIA discredits anything that goes against their law. They want to have a technocracy where they can rule everything with
They're gonna
chips
shut down my
and
YouTube.
so, but the way Judy Mikovits, they try to say on the internet she's all like a hoax and a scam, and when the conspiracy theory, that term started after the JFK assassination, which the CIA pulled off, and then they wanted to discredit anybody who thought it was a conspiracy, so they invented the term conspiracy theory. So Judy Mikovits, Mikovitz, has 2 books. And a couple of documentaries. Plandemic 1, Plandemic 2, and Plague of Corruption is her book.
Did those just come out?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And then she has a new one, how the mask actually incubates the disease and makes it worse, and it's probably what's causing everybody to be sick right now.
And she used to work for who?
She was high up in the biotech and realized bovine growth hormone caused cancer, was figuring out the first isolation of HIV, and also worked on the Ebola for the government in government labs. So they wanted.
She's a whistleblower.
She's a whistleblower. I think she's a good witch, and she's putting her life on the line. And she found that in vaccinations, there's hidden cancer-causing viruses, and they threw her in jail to silence her. So she's really kind of like a saint, in my opinion, even though she was following the classical approach and was all pro-vaccine and pro-biotech and worked on the highest level because she was freaking smart. And now she kind of realizes it's totally all corrupt. Immune system is key. Learn to trust each other and trust your own ability and your mind. Like, don't get depressed. Don't bring yourself down. Even your thoughts can be poisoned.
So true.
Fear is the way the Nazis took over Germany. If they make people afraid, they can manipulate and control them. So,
Eerily how do you say that? Eerily similar to what is going on now.
yeah, RFK Jr.'s website, Robert Kennedy Jr., JFK and his father RFK, who would have been president, were both assassinated by the CIA. He fought Monsanto and won, and his website,
Monsanto?
the genetically modified Roundup Ready a glyphosate that they said was safe all the time and evaporated. Finally, they figured out it caused cancer, and he won a suit. And now there's 80,000 people suing Monsanto. And so RFK Jr.'s website is Children's Health Defense. And I think he is like a real true hero in this day and age, and gave the largest speech in German history to a broad array of people waking up through the internet that hasn't been censored yet. Uh, yeah, he gave a speech to the largest audience about this pandemic and the untested forced vaccinations. They want to microchip us, and then with 5G, track everything. Instead of that, a technocratic military police state, why don't we start loving each other and loving the land and stop being scumbags and getting demented on corporate alcohol and make our own alcohol and grow our whatever and whatever.
Yeah. Grow your own stuff, guys.
Permaculture. Check permaculture out on YouTube. There's a lot of cool back to the landers and the concepts of permaculture. Perma culture. Permaculture. Check that out on YouTube. There's some sweet freaking people doing beautiful things, and you might be able to visit them if they're not paranoid of COVID.
Yeah, and just learn from them. Even, I mean, there's books. I'm sure they have. Even if you reached out to those people, I'm sure they would send you detailed emails on how to, like, just to help you. Because I feel like people that do that just want to help. Just want to spread nutrition and love.
And there's the guy who invented kind of permaculture, Bill Mollison. He's got some interesting videos on YouTube as well about alternative forms of energy, electricity production, and power and all that.
So this is pretty much what we've been doing, is just talking for like maybe a whole day now. Well, I don't know. Anyway, so next you're gonna see our adventure that we just went on, but I'm posting this before anyway. You shall see. Talk soon.
Recording you or me?
I'm recording now. I'm recording me. It's like this. I'm gonna turn to you in a second. Okay. Good morning. I am in an undisclosed location doing a very fun thing with a new friend that I made yesterday. Ta-da-da-da! This is Alex. We're here planting some ginseng. I'm going to show a picture of what it looks like so they can know.
Pre-stratified ginseng seed. You can get them on the internet. They may not be going through a cold period before they can sprout, and they put them in a refrigerator. And they're kind of open, and they call that Southerners like it's smiling. And so you get this, yeah, like the seed's almost smiling. It's ready to sprout.
Oh, cool.
But you know, they go an inch deep.
Huh.
The critters can get them, the chipmunks and everything can get them, but just plant them among snags and go where your inner voice, where it feels like good that the ginseng is. But right around here, you can see that there's sugar maples here, and that's definitely a companion plant of ginseng.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ones for sure. You can look on the internet what kind of trees ginseng grows under, the types of trees, but sugar maple is main one. And so an inch deep, you know, high elevation, especially like we're at 1200, right. We're going to try to get up to 2000, and there's more predators like coyotes and panthers and rattlesnakes that eat the chipmunks and the deer that would otherwise eat the ginseng. So
we had to truck up here a bit. We're just going to lay some here and then go farther up and do some?
Yeah,
that's the motive?
I mean, among snags, among like trees that are falling down, then the deer can't easily just nip them.
Okay.
So this is a place that would be good to grow ginseng because there's a little bowl here to water collect, nutrients collect, and it seems like it'd be a bad place because there's all this dead branches going on, but it'll protect it from the deer.
That's true, huh?
And there's not much topsoil in the Catskills because they logged it away a bunch of times for tanning, inner bark for tanning, and for lumber and coal or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so up in Vermont and Maine, there's more topsoil. Down south even, there's more topsoil, but I put about an inch deep, you know.
Yeah.
I
Plan it up.
I put it puncture with my finger and then
Spreading nutrition. I said spreading nutrition.
Wow, yeah, eventually the plants will die every year and extract different nutrients and add medicine in the soil for the other plant to absorb. So, yeah, all these plants give to the earth. Just take them.
How many should you put in each?
My buddy who knows a lot, Poppy, who knows a lot about the ginseng, says that it's better to have them naturally spaced, at least a foot apart. Where they grow it commercially, they can sometimes get fungus and mold because it's so densely packed. And he's had a lot of experience finding it in the woods and kind of sat with it and checked it out and looked into it, and he said it enjoyed space. It wasn't. Sometimes you would find a cluster of it or a few seeds crowded in the same hole, but generally you want to give it at least a foot of space.
So you're just putting one seed?
Yeah, with my feet, I try to feel if there's like a soft piece of ground, and I just use my thumb or forefinger, whatever, do about an inch deep, and then cover it back up.
Perfect.
Poppy used a little baby toy plastic rake when he was doing it because he thought it was like stylish. He just scratched the ground, a couple of seeds.
Cute.
Are we still on?
Yeah.
Even putting your intention into it, like asking, is this a good spot? And also like praying, making a little prayer, like and having some intention and making sure it's snugged in and covered well and putting a little prayer for its well-being.
What is it called?
This is either silver birch or black birch, and it tastes like.
Is this right? This one right here?
Yeah, they taste like wintergreen.
So I'm gonna eat it.
Birch beer. Use trees. If you do, you got to plug the hole that you tap with a wooden dowel because it'll bleed the tree. Whereas sugar maple, you don't want to drill too deep. You don't want to drill past an inch and a half because the outer layer of the tree is called a sapwood, and that can actually fill in and regenerate itself, and then the heartwood can't. So when you're drilling a tap, that's almost like a dying sugar maple right there, but you want to go in like an inch and a half tops because you don't want to go past the sapwood. But with a birch, it don't really it'll bleed to death unless you put a wooden peg into the hole after you tapped it. But you could make birch beer just by boiling a bunch of these twigs.
It does taste like wintergreen.
And adding sugar, honey, and then you could make birch beer that way. But they used to use the sap and cook down the sap to make birch beer.
It's like a piece of gum.
Berries, or do you want to just look at it?
Doesn't matter. These are like the berries that I tried yesterday.
Oh no, those were aronia berries. These are red berries too. They're called partridge berry. They say they don't have a taste, but they're a little sweet, and they last. They cling on to it. These don't got berries right now, but I mean there are probably patches with berries because they'll cling on all winter, and it's fall now.
I don't think I understand what exactly we're looking at.
This.
Oh, like the green leaf.
Yeah, it's good.
Sprouts berries.
If you look up any of these things you can look up on the internet and get more information. But this is good for pregnant women to have to strengthen and facilitate an easy childbirth.
Mhm.
Even the whole plant and the root, they made a tea out of it. And there's 200 species in South
Oh.
America, and this is the only species in North America. And like I said, it got a little red berry that's delicious. But it usually grows under these hemlock trees, which isn't the poisonous hemlock. It's the tree called hemlock.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to see. Boom.
This is witch's butter.
Oh.
Or there's another related species
Look
called
at that.
orange jelly. And this is kind of dried up, but I think it's an egg yolk substitute. And you can eat it raw or cooked, like an egg. And this is dried out,
Yeah.
but this is growing on hemlock.
So is it inside there?
I mean, the mycelium is inside the roots of it, but this is the actual mushroom. You've seen it, but almost anybody who's been walking in the woods seen a little orange jellyish mushroom growing. It's edible and it's bland, but it's kind of tasty too. I mean, I don't know the nutritional.
Like tofu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say it's like a gelatinous type of tofu.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I bet you. I would wonder if a scientist on the internet actually looked up the nutritional profile of witch's butter, but I would say it's supreme, even though most people neglect it.
Yeah. I feel like anything that comes straight from nature can be nothing but good for you, unless it's poisonous.
Unless it's killed venom.
Right.
There's and a bear was harassing me the other day. See, sometimes. I mean, you want to record? Are you recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's a story.
Okay.
Sometimes when bears get addicted to dumpster food or people feed them, they become rogue bears. And they usually a black bear or on the East Coast will, even if it's with cubs and you're not a threat, if it sees you, they're kind of nearsighted. They might walk up on you and not realize you're there, but then they'll kind of go in a circle around you. But if they're addicted to dumpster food or people be feeding them, a raven squawking, it won't follow the normal rules of the woods. And I recommend you all, if you really care about wilderness skills, there's a man named Mors, Mors Kachansky, Kachenn, Kansky, Mors Kachansky.
Mm-hmm.
He's an awesome wilderness guy and has a lot of tricks. And he said, you take a stick about the size of a baseball bat and hit it on the nose. Because this bear was like clawing up stomps and intimidating me because my friends who were like Native Americans, semi-rainbow people feed it. And he's like their guard bear. And I was looking for chestnuts, American chestnut seed, because unbladed seed is rare. All these topics, like look up what happened with the American chestnut blade. And what happened to the passenger pigeon? Because it's extinct, and and the shit of the passenger pigeons probably helped nourish the chestnut tree. And Chinese chestnut mixed with American chestnut creates blight resistance. So planting at least 50% Chinese genetics and American genetics, the seed can reproduce, whereas the Chinese one's pure. Are not cold hardy enough to sprout in the woods. So you want a 50% Chinese genetics crossed with American genetics and chestnuts. I would plant chestnuts everywhere because they're a really important food source and a complete protein mixed with hazelnuts. So
that's right.
You can look that.
That is good information.
Yeah, but rogue bear, you take a stick about the size of a baseball bat and you hit it right in the freaking nose. And if you break its nose,
how do you know what bear is a?
It doesn't have any fight in it. What?
How do you know which one is that kind of bear?
There's only black bear around here, and generally they're harmless. But like I said, when people get addicted to dumpster food or people feed them, they start not following the normal protocols of respect in the woods, and they can mess with you.
Because brain food kills your
And with
brain.
grizzlies, even this is what?
Because food will like mess with your brain structure.
Yeah, they get
Probably does that to
corporate cops.
animals too. If they're eating crap, then they're gonna act crazy.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even with a grizzly, and a shark, you hit it in the nose. If you're gonna punch it in the nose, it shocks, puts you in a state of shock. So, you know, my friend gave me that bit of information. I'm really thankful.
Stick like this would be perfect.
No,
No, it's be bigger.
You want like, and you might want to come prepared.
Right. Get you a baseball bat.
Yeah. Not even this. Even. I mean.
That that's a pretty.
This would probably do it if you had to like, or you could use it as a spear.
True.
And you can make an instant spear by just. I mean, I don't really have the energy to fire right now, but you could break it off on this rock and create a sharp point.
Yeah.
And then this would be probably some efficient, huh?
Because it doesn't even have to be like a circular point. It just has to be a point. Like it can just be an angle, right? It's still a spear. Does it need to be completely? What's that?
What?
Like a spear?
It needs to be sturdy.
Yeah.
If you break this, it'll make a point. But
right.
Really, all you need, if nothing else, other than a good vibe, sometimes a good vibe and just standing your ground and being like whatever. But some road bear, you want something the size of your arm or a little bigger as a war club, and that's the first defensive protection. Other than like some martial art, like one teacher said he would, if a wild lion attacked it, like a panther attacked him, he would stick his hand down its throat and yank its tongue out. Maybe you could poke its eye out, but the quickest thing is you take a club and you hit it in the nose as hard as you can.
Like in cartoons when they punch the shark in the nose.
I heard of a guy in Hawaii and a shark confronted him underwater. He punched it as hard as he could in the nose and the shark ran off.
Yeah, I think it's true.
I learned this from a couple of people. This is cheese polypore. There's no teeth. There's little tiny holes that are the pores that let out the spores. Most polypores are safe, especially when they have a hard shell. They're usually medicinal. And if you made a tea, sometimes edible. But the way my brother taught me, you can tell it kind of smells like cheese.
A little. It's like, let me see.
Here, this is one right here.
Smells like spongy.
But if you squeeze it, you can get water out of it.
Oh.
And that's how you can tell. And if you're really thirsty, that would be a water source, and it's edible. It's called.
Do we know what this is?
What kind of wood
what
that
it's
is?
growing on? Yeah, or does it just grow anywhere?
I imagine it's just sugar maple because it's right below it. This is a big old.
What's the name of that again?
Cheese polypore. It smells a little like cheese. And there's ones that kind of look like it, but you can't squeeze the water out.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, cheese polypore.
Cheese polypore.
So that's.
Yeah, I'm going.
That's a dead chicken of the woods. When they're fresh, you've probably seen them or you could look them up. They're neon orange fluorescent on top and neon yellow underneath, and they have pores.
It's a mushroom?
Yeah, not gills. They have got pores, not gills. There's one jack-o'-lantern that's orange, but it got gills. This one, you might be still able to see the pores. I mean, this is what a dead chicken looks like, but guess what? Even though it's like funked, and you really want them supremely fresh when you get them, even if they're a little old, they taste like cardboard. But fresh, they're frickin'. Anything you can do with chicken, you can do with a chicken of the woods. Is like they're smooth on the bottom. Essentially, they don't have gills.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you really wanted to map your area, you would remember exactly where these dead chickens were. Not to say that they'd come out every single year, but most likely they would after a rain. I've seen chickens all the way from spring, most common late August, September, but I've seen them like in middle of May and all throughout. And look, oh shit, that's like some deer here. Oh, oh,
Oh yeah.
coyote hair, like 8 amount. I don't know what the hell is going on there, but chicken of the woods is one of the best mushrooms, edible mushrooms, and one of the easier ones to easiest to identify. If it got pores and not gills, and it's orange and yellow, and it's like a shelf, the outer portion is the most tender, most delicious. Anything you could cook with a chicken, and you might be like, oh well, there's nothing here, but next year it'll be fresh. Sometimes you can get like 60 pounds if it's really nicely
Holy
aged.
moly.
So that's what a dead chicken looks like. Chicken of the woods.
It's going.
Okay. Hey. So one time my friend Poppy, a blue cohosh, which is a companion plant, it's like with doll's eyes and other stuff. The ginseng, blue cohosh called to him and it was like, pick me, pick me. He's like, I'm not here to pick you. And he leaned over because the blue cohosh was kind of like under a stick or something. And when he looked from a different angle, he noticed there was a ginseng plant there and that the plants were communicating and through the blue cohosh, the ginseng was talking to him. And so he dug between two rocks. Like, so even if it seems like not the best ground, sometimes between two rocks is the best place for it to survive because the critters can't get to it because it's wedged between two rocks. And you could create a forest garden or guerrilla garden out in nature in the cracks of rocks that might last eons, because their roots are protected. So he dug down and it looked like a little ginseng. He's like, oh, you're too small, I can't take you. And it turned out the ginseng plant was 80 years old because you can count the growth rings on the top of the stem. Each year it makes a little growth ring on the top of the stem, and he counted 80, and it was wedged between two rocks. So that's another awesome clue from the nature files. Yeesh.
These are what now?
These are turkey tail. I mean, there's a few related species. They come in different colors. The Latin is versicolor. This one's sweet. It's got reds and blues. But underneath this, it's relatively flat, and there's pores. There's one that's orange and smooth underneath. That ain't it, and that might be a little toxic. There's one that's like pale purple, and that one's not toxic. But this, and there's one a little thicker than this, the false turkey tail. But this is the turkey tail. They're little tiny holes there if you looked under a microscope, the pores. And
Let me get my camera focused on it. Here, oh, you can see it. Nice. Cool.
And so turkey tail is good for the immune system, and you can make a broth. You make a broth with it, and it's like a survival food as well. It's nutritious, probably carbohydrates and different, maybe even protein. But the main lesson is be careful. Your self care and self love, and not getting too wild and being aware and not becoming injuring yourself with thoughts or your actions is really the main goal. So if you can find spring water or water that hasn't been polluted by livestock or humans, and you can find a clean gravity-fed spring, that's a pretty awesome step.
How can you tell if it's clean?
Okay, this guy there's wilderness skills gatherings. You can look them up on the internet. Earth skills gatherings where you learn all the skills you need to live in the woods. But there's a man. He actually had a show. You can see us on YouTube. Live Free or Die. I mean, it's a little boring. It's a little cheesy, but there's some good info on there, and they're at least trying to wake people up. Even though, making just being living your normal loving life in nature is like you don't want to have to impress or it takes patience and it's not like bright lights and colors and action movie scenes going on every second, so it's a little hard to compete and wake people up when they're so conditioned to constant stimulation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the way he put, like, I want to learn how to live in the woods. I don't want to rely on society,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to like make the woods a better place and grow. So I was asking people, oh, how do you find water in the landscape? And everybody's forgotten because they take it for granted. And a well and a pump, an electric pump, brings you water, and sometimes the pipes are contaminated. And don't drink city water with the fluoride and the chlorine. And now they're putting Teflon in the freaking water mains and cities.
Right.
Anybody living in a city,
Mm-hmm.
I'd move to the country. But anyway, he said it's a matter of concentration. If there's a lot of animal, like a lot of livestock, and a lot of people, and only a little bit of water, you're probably going to get sick if you drink the water. If there's not many people and not a lot of livestock, like a headwater of a stream, beyond where there's houses, so if there's a lot of land and only a couple of people, you're probably going to be fine if you drink the water. He said, I drink water, like big rivers I drank out of, and even beaver, you can get Giardia beaver fever, but he drank out of the water where there's beavers and otters and stuff by his house. Usually it's human caused. Now, if you're in the tropics, it's a whole set of different rules. There's a lot of critters in the tropics and worms and weird pathogens. But around here, it's mostly Giardia and E. coli. A little E. coli actually improves your immune system. A lot, look up barberry, has berberine in it. It's better than Flagyl, the commercial pharmaceutical thing for Giardia, or even too much E. coli. But what don't kill you makes you stronger. But
Yeah.
if one other old timer said, if there's a creek around here that a beaver ain't living up, that's at least this wide and clear flowing above a house, he been drinking out of it since he was a little kid. Now, if you've lived in the city and you're drinking chlorinated water and you have a weak immune system and you just go right there and do it,
Yeah.
you're
probably
going to
gonna
build
get sick.
yourself up. You want to have like a drop.
Eat some bark first.
Oh yeah, if you eat bark, your whole immune system is going to be stronger.
Yeah. Bark cures COVID. You heard it here first. This is which one?
Barberry.
Barberry.
Yeah, it's invasive. It came from Japan. It's got these berries. They make rice.
Yeah.
Put berries in the rice in the Middle East of a different species related to it. The seed, I'm in all guesses cooked is probably edible, but you might want to start with a little bit first. But the root is golden red, and even if you break off a piece, not much yellow there, huh? Yeah, I mean, sometimes it'll look yellow, more yellow than that. It's kind of yellow. That's the berberine. And for Lyme disease, yeah, I get bit by ticks all the time, and I eat this. I peel. There's like these little tiny thorns.
Yeah.
I peel it off. Make sure nothing's on there, and I eat it raw. And this cures Lyme disease and Giardia, water poisoning. And most people think it's invasive and a nuisance, but this is like the equivalent of golden seal, which has berberine as well. Good for tooth problems, gum problems, intestinal parasites, water poisoning, food poisoning, and Lyme disease. But you don't want to take too much. You could make a tea, an infusion.
Nice. Good stuff.
But
All right.
hey y'all, I don't know, sometimes the program makes people repel this kind of information, but I think it's the most essential is please be a child of earth and give more than you take. A lot of people steal ginseng to buy drugs or whatever, and the ginseng, as it gets old, actually has a spirit, and with age they mine nutrients from the forest and re-release them, and they add medicine to the forest. So I mean, the more ginseng we have, the better for everything. And you don't really need ginseng to heal cancer. Just don't eat white flour and sugar, and drink some wheatgrass juice, and maybe eat Barilla lentil pasta or garbanzo bean pasta instead of wheat flour. Wheat's a sedative, and the gluten clogs up your gut, so you can't absorb nutrients and eliminate toxins. It's the basis of all disease. So, you know, ginseng is powerful, and in an acute situation, or if you are growing a lot of it, taking a couple to make a root beer or some kind of brew or whatever, that's cool. But if you give back more than you take, then the world will be a better place. And sometimes when you're digging, you'll feel a mold tunnel. So you don't want to plant it in the mold tunnel. That's one of the predators for the ginseng. And actually sweeping the area clean, it might seem counterintuitive because there'd be less moisture, but it might allow an owl or a hawk to eat the mole that's trying to eat your seeds. So if you put a plug in the ground and you feel a mold tunnel, don't plant it there. And scrape like a turkey, scrape the leaf debris aside and plant a few. But ask God. One of the clues is ask God, or ask the universe, or the spirit that moves in all things, or your highest self, you know, where, or the ginseng itself, where do you want to be planted? Where would you most be benefited, and how would that benefit everything? So just my last little piece on all that ethics and morals and the code of honor that is almost lost.
Right. Nice. How did this happen? Where's the rest of it? Huh? I said, where's the rest of it? The tree. Oh! Wow. How awesome was that? I just want to say, Alex, if you're watching, thank you so much for sharing your infinite knowledge, love, hospitality. You have truly changed and redirected my life in the best way. And I really hope to see you again. Love, love, as you say. As for anyone watching, thank you. And up next, van tour. Small update. I am in Virginia, heading west. Not really sure what my destination is. Kind of just going with the flow, letting the universe guide me. And talk soon. Peace and blessings.